Hey, in today's video we're going to explore another open source project. Today we're going to be looking at Novel.sh. It's by Stephen Tay. We've done a few videos on his other projects in the past. Here you can see how it works. It's basically just an editor, but it's got like sort of a lot of cool stuff that has been added to it. One is this sort of extra command. Well, let's sort of do a to-do list. It feels very much like Notion. And one really nice one is the AI that is built straight in. So where is that? Continue writing, and let's see. And it's gone and written the text for me. Basically, you can also do, if you read here, ++, you can also get it to write automatically, and it's gone and done it. So that's the project. Here you can see as well. You can like sort of do a few different things here, change the text and so on. So that's really cool. So how was that done? It was done with a project called Tiptap. So there are quite a lot of different like sort of text editors that sort of over the years there's always been another popular one that's come out, and this is the one that's being used for this project. Behind the scenes it's using Prose Mirror. Here you can see sort of in the demos exactly what it looks like. It's the same sort of thing, and in today's video we're actually going to show what it looks like to set that up and do it ourselves. This is our version of it that I've set up quite quickly for this video. Yeah, I can make that italic, I can change the color of the text and so on. We have the checkboxes, not incredibly well styled, but it does the job. A list of items, some code and so on. So yeah, let's dive into it. This, by the way, before we get started, this is the Novel.sh project, so let's take a look at this first. Then we'll dive into Tiptap and sort of do it ourselves as well. So it's a standard Next.js and Tailwind project, as we've done in the last few videos. Good place to start is the package.json. So here you can see a lot of the packages, a lot of different Tiptap packages, and that's what we'll be covering today. The project itself, very simple. As we saw, it's just one page, so you'll only find one page.tsx in the repo. By the way, the repo is stephen.tay/novel if you want to check it out yourself. I've just gone to github.dev so we can see a VS Code type editor here instead, making it a bit easier to navigate. So as you can see in the entire project, there's not much to it. All it is this editor component that we'll find in UI/editor. So, and we've got two API routes, so we'll check out a bit later. So the editor, you can see this is the entire project is in here. Some other stuff, we've got icons, we've got primitives, styles, but there's really, you know, hooks. Like there's a few things going on, but the bulk of the project is going to be in this editor component, and you'll find it in index.tsx. So we're going to take a look through this file. This honestly is the core of the project and everything that is happening. There's a lot of like sort of other files that really extend the functionality, but we don't need to dive into them too deeply. So what we have going on here is the editor. How the magic works of Tiptap. So where do we have Tiptap? We have use editor and editor content. So if we sort of just jump down, we'll see here's the use editor command. Sort of sets it up, and then the final piece is sort of just render this on the page. It will be a bit simpler once we sort of implement this ourselves and dive in further. And yeah, we're like just going through this file. Some of the things we're doing, we have the content stored in local storage. The default content, we can take a look here, but it's saved as JSON. This could also be saved as HTML, but in this project they've decided to store it as JSON. So it's stored in local storage. That means when I refresh this page, we'll still see that I still have the same text as before. You can see we're debouncing the updates. So what this does is basically when we make some changes, it's going to wait 750 milliseconds. It's not going to update every second, but it sort of do them in chunks of close to a second at a time. And it's sort of going to show the state as saving. And then after a half a second, this is just simulated, but it's because it's going to local storage and it's very quick, but it's going to say like for half a second later that it's saved. So if we take a look here, right now it's saved. If we make some changes, unsaved, saving, and now saved again half a second later. So that's that functionality. Here, the core of Tiptap is basically extensions. Yeah, basically the main thing you have to pass in, honestly, is just the extensions. There's some props, there's an update, doing other things. We'll dive into this in a second. But to set up your own editor, you just use the editor with the extensions you want to use. So extensions are like, I want this text to be bold, I want this text to be underlined, this to be a header, and so on. This is the code for the AI autocompletion. This goes to the endpoint AI / generate. We actually covered this more in a previous video. Here you can see it's using the AI React package from Vercel to do the completion. And basically what it's doing is calling this API endpoint that we have in our own app, API / generate. And once it gets a response from ChatGPT, from OpenAI, it's basically going to put the text in our editor. There's a few more things happening, but I don't want to bore you too much. Here you can see sort of we hydrate the page. We're basically from local storage, and then we say it. But here is, yeah, as we mentioned before, this is the main text. This is the main thing that's happening. There's a content and there's a bubble menu as well, which we saw pop up. So that's the bubble menu. Anything else that we sort of skipped over now? I did mention the Tiptap extension, so let's take a look here. The Tiptap extension. So to get started, it's really quick. All you have to do is really use starter kit, and it gives you a whole bunch out of the box. But you can do a lot of other things. For example, you can add support for links. You can add a / command that we use when we do the AI autocompletion, colors, highlighting a task list. So the task list, for example, was this. So that's like sort of really easy to implement. And yeah, let's go and actually go and do that ourselves. So I'm going to set up a new project. I have gone and done this with Tailwind and Next.js. So if you want to set this up yourself, this is a command I ran: create next app. Latest, we use TypeScript, ESLint, and I just called the project Tiptap. I've cd'd into the Tiptap directory. I've opened it up. I've used pnpm, so I went and deleted the package lock file and using using pnpm lock instead. The advantage of this, if you have lots of projects running on your computer, then instead of sort of doing a new npm install every single time, and every single project has its own node modules folder, so now with pnpm, it basically works in the exact same way as npm. Do pnpm install instead of npm install. But basically what this does is it shares the folders on your computer. So if I installed React 15 times with npm in every project, I'd have my own copy of React in the node modules. With pnpm, it all symlinks to one place. So you don't have 15 copies of React on your computer, you only have one copy taking up space. And obviously if you update one version, then you'll have that separate version as well. So that saves space when sort of creating lots of projects. So did a pnpm install. I've gone and installed Tiptap React, Tiptap PM. This is sort of PM stands for Prose Mirror, and then the starter kit as well. By the way, this is all in the documentation. So if we sort of just go take a look at Tiptap, let's do get started, installation, and we did it with Next.js. So we created the project, we installed the dependencies. That's what we've just gone and done now. And now to go and actually sort of get started with Tiptap, all we need to do is add this file here and then add it to our app. So we've gone and done that. The first thing I did, if you can see this, so Next.js gives you this whole starter file. I just went and put Tiptap and created a components Tiptap file. And over here in this file is where we sort of have everything. I guess this is the final version. I did want to undo these changes, but I guess I won't be able to. Okay, we could stash it and go from the beginning, but we'll just use this to go through it. But so I've gone and quickly removed all the changes I made, but this is basically what the project will look like when you get started. So you'll just get an input and some text, nothing too fancy here. You will notice certain things are happening. For example, that sort of converted the header into sort of a header, but there's no styling or anything happening. So the first thing we want to do is go and add some styling to the project. So to go and do that, we are gonna add some props to the editor. You can read about this in the documentation. What I've gone and done is just added these Tailwind classes. To use Prose, what you need to do is add the plugin Tailwind typography, and it will give you all of that out of the box. So let's save that and see what it looks like. And already you can see the document looks a lot better. It's immediately looking like a real editor. Here you can sort of see the different functionality, list items, so you can see a code block, and what I had shown you before. So when we did a header, so the header actually works now, and so on. So just with that really quick change, all we've done right now is user editor. We're using the extension starter kit, and we've added a bit of content. Our content is HTML. You can also use JSON, or you can use a WYSIWYG format if you're doing collaborative stuff. But in short, yeah, we've set it up for HTML content, and here you can see the H2 hi there is at the top of the page as hi there. And now when we've added more content, if we want to save this, let's say in local storage or send it to our server, wherever, so this would be represented as an H2 tag as well. This is sort of just the default content we're setting out with. But in a real project, this would probably be dynamic and loaded from somewhere. So now we've started to get things working, let's start adding some extensions. So the first thing we're going to do is, well, I guess this comes next, but we're adding a task list just as an example. And the task list, basically there's these two plugins we're adding, task list and task item. You need to add both, but basically with these 5 lines of code or so, if we add it, now suddenly we have our task list. Now that it all is straight out of the box. All I did was copy and paste it from Tiptap documentation. So if we go and take a look at the extensions, and ours is called task list, and here every extension you can sort of see how it works. So that works quite nicely. And let's read more about it. So to install the task list, what I did was pnpm install of these two packages. You need both task list and task item, or it won't work. And that's mostly it. And then to use an extension, all you need to do is add the extension to your list of extensions. So over here, I've added task list to the list of extensions, and I've added task item. And as we've seen, it's already working. Here's just some sort of Tailwind classes to make it look a bit prettier. Next extension we're going to add is the color extension. So again, all we're doing is adding Tiptap extension color, adding it to the list, and now we have support for colors. And if we now add some buttons for ourselves, here basically what we're doing is every time one of these buttons is clicked, we're going to change the color of the highlighted text. So let's take a look at that. Here you can see our buttons at the top, and if I want that to be blue, now it's blue. Let's make this lots of different colors, and so on. Maybe make this orange, and basically now we have colors in our document as well. And just taking a deeper look, how did we do that? We're basically, these buttons when they're clicked, so for example when the purple button is clicked, what we're doing is editor.chain. So this basically gets the editor that we have above, so the what use editor returns. We get that. Next, what we're doing is we're chaining the actions. So the first thing we want to do, this basically tells it we're going to do a few commands, and then at the end we want to run them, but avoid running them for now. So basically the first thing we do, and we'll do them all in one batch. So the first thing we do is focus. We want to refocus the editor again. So basically if we didn't have this, what would happen is I click purple and now I've lost my space. But when we're doing immediately focusing back to the editor, we don't lose where our mouse was in the page. Set color. This is obviously setting the color, and it's working on highlighted text. And the last thing we're doing is running all those commands. So wherever my text is, I highlight it and it turns into red, and that's how that works. And here you can see we're also adjusting the class name. I guess how's this being used? Text style. Okay, I need to look into this a bit later, but in short, that's not so super important. But you can see here that the color is also being changed in this part of the page as well. Oh, and okay, that's cool. So we can, I didn't realize we had this, but I think that means we can do any color. Yeah, we can do any color as well. So that's really nice. We don't just have to have these set colors. We can have any color through this input that we have over here. Cool. Let's see. Do we have anything else that I wanted to cover here? That's it. So really quickly, we set up Tiptap. It's really easy to get going with. If you want to dive deeper into the documentation, the places I'd look at, well, styling, things like menus. So menus we have over here, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but you can sort of, you know, do different things here. This very much looks like Notion, and so on. Here you have background highlight, text highlight, and so on. The auto completion for the AI. So that's menu styling is important. I use Tailwind in this video. And collaborative editing is also worth a look at. So how this works, it uses a library called YJS, but basically what YJS does is it works in like a Google Drive type format. So if you have conflicting edits, like we're both editing in real time and we're touching different parts of the document or even the same parts, YJS will have a history of sort of all the changes and we'll be able to make them all work together. And I haven't set this up, but like if you're using WebRTC, it's super simple to set up. You add this and you're basically done. And now you can open up the editor in 2 tabs and you'll be able to see the changes sync. The recommended way to do it is with WebSockets, and then you have to set up your own WebSocket server, and Tiptap has something called Hocus Pocus that helps with that. But in short, like if you want to do collaborative editing on documents, this makes it very easy to do. The final thing to take a look at is the extensions. So we saw a few of them, but you can see some of them are pro and some of them are sort of just out the box. But let's say we want to see character count, and each one you can test in real time. So here you can see this extension. It will show me, I want to get to the end to 280. Let's see. Okay, and yeah, and it gets to 280 characters, and I can't type anymore till I start deleting. Here you can see the bullet list extension. And all of these are like really simple to add. I mean, let's say character count, haven't added it myself, but if you sort of just go here, read more, there's always one package to add. You sort of configure the limit and that's about it. There's probably a bit more UI you have to add, but like you can see it's very, very simple. Oh, and there's always sort of an example of how it's done. So here you can see the extensions are used, some basic ones, character count limit of 280 like the old Twitter. And there's the content, and yeah, basically you have it, and at the bottom they're displaying from the character count storage how many characters they have. So that's that. Rounding off the video, we'll take a bit more of a look. Now we understand sort of how Tiptap works. That explains a big part of this project. Here you can see all the different extensions have been used here. We've got the starter kit being used. We've got horizontal rule. We've got Tiptap link. We've got a bunch of other stuff, even support for Markdown. And we have / command as well. If you look in the Tiptap documentation, this is sort of still in beta and work in progress, but it can be implemented manually, and it has been. So this is a custom extension for the / command, which makes using the editor much easier. Here you can see JSON content, whereas our content was written in HTML. This content is written in JSON. That's the default content. And yeah, like to round off the video, we will take a look at this sort of use completion. This is the AI part. So how does the AI part work? If we go to generate, you'll see it's 70 lines of code, and basically the first half is just a rate limiter. This is Next.js app router. This is a post request. For beginning, just make sure we're not hitting the API too much, and it's using Redis upstash rate limiter for that. And then the second part is create chat completion, which it uses the Vercel AI package. It basically sends this prompt to the AI, to OpenAI basically, with our prompt, and it will basically go and autocomplete our text for us based on this, and it will send it back to the user. So if we're taking a look here, this is sort of the API speaking to OpenAI, has our OpenAI API key, and then on the front end, where were we calling this? So we're doing use completion, and here basically select the text. Once you get the text in on finish, we go and stick it into the document. So we do set text selection and so on. By the way, if you want here as well, in terms of how the ++ works, you can check anytime the document is edited. So one, it's unsaved, and then later we go and debounce and save it. If the last 2 characters are ++, basically we're fetching the last 2 characters from the document. We will delete those last 2 characters, and then we will replace it with we'll replace it with the OpenAI text that we get from the backend. We also have upload of images. This uses Vercel Blob. Vercel Blob isn't publicly available, but you can request access to it, and yeah, it looks very simple to use, being able to upload an image with 30 lines of code. So that's the end of the video. Here you can see there's some other nice stuff for this providers which change the theme. So where is it? If you want to play around with that, you can change the font. So now, yeah, the default font is Cal Sans. We're going to serif and mono and so on. Here you can see sort of the light theme and how that works. So that's all happening over here. It uses theme provider from Next Themes, and in terms of how the theme is changed, it's done in Tailwind config. But basically, we have a light theme and a dark theme. Here you can see the color is basically Novel Stone 50 and so on. And if we change Novel Stone 50 to how does this work? There's some spot where we change it. Okay, yeah, so it's in globals.css. So basically, this is Novel Black, Novel White, and so on. So in regular mode, it's basically Novel Black is black. But in like dark mode, when we have dark theme on the document, then Novel Black actually is white, Novel White is black, and so on. So all the colors of the document were changed here, where this is the regular CSS variables, and this is the dark theme CSS variables. That should explain everything in this project. I mean, there's a bit more you can go into. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. What I do is I cover open source projects. I'll be covering more in the future. Also check out getinbox0.com. This is an upcoming open source project that's about to come out. It helps you get to inbox 0 using AI in minutes. This is a project that I've been working on. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.